Like I said, this is Professor Alonso, and we have off air Professor Acosta, and we're here to provide you some information as to the Latino Promise program. If you're tuning in, likely it is that you have begun your application into the Latino Promise program, and something has stopped you along the way, or something has prevented you from completing your application to the Latino Promise program. And we just want to remind you as to what are the steps that you can take and some of the benefits that you might find in the Latino Promise program. I myself, as well as every single professor that we have in our program and advisor, at one point we're first-generation college students like most of you out there. And as a result, we know firsthand some of the obstacles and challenges that present themselves in not only just graduating high school and having to go through the process of going to college, but more importantly, once you get into college, what are some of those obstacles and challenges that are going to present themselves that maybe you were not thinking about before you can graduate? The Latino Promise program focuses on all different kinds of achievements, or all different kinds of obstacle overcoming through the process of advising. The most value that you will find throughout the entire process while you're with us is a learning experience as to how you as a student can learn some of these college knowledge factors that go into being a college student that you may not know about. Things such as, where do I go to complete my FAFSA? What is the deadline for my FAFSA? What are some of the steps that I can take in order to graduate on time or graduate early? What happens if I have to take a remedial class? Or, for example, who do I speak to if I need to take an examination to get some college credits so then I don't get behind? The Latino Promise program, what you will find is that you will find professors who are not just your professors are and in classrooms, but are also involved every step of the way with you in advising, in financial aid, in and outside of the classroom, and will provide you with all the tools that are necessary in order for you to graduate. As today we go ahead and present, if you have any questions, feel free to at any time write them down in the chat, at which point Professor Acosta will read your question and I will go ahead and answer it for you. For now, I'd like to focus most of our conversation around our application process and what is necessary in order for you to complete that application process. Most of you should have an application. If you do not have an application, you can always find our application at fdu.edu/Latino Promise. You can click on admissions and you will find a PDF application there that you can download. You can also find one on fdu.edu/Petrocelli, where you can go ahead and apply online. Either way that you choose to apply, make sure that along with that application, you have 2 letters of recommendation, which can be obtained from your guidance counselors, your teachers, your coaches, maybe someone in the community, such as your boss, or maybe a pastor or a priest from your church. You will also be needing to take your SATs or your SACT. And while we will not factor your ACT or your SAT score as a factor in whether or not you are admitted, it is required for admissions. In other words, what you score isn't necessarily what's important, but what's important is that you take the exam. If for any reason you cannot take the SAT or ACT exam, you can always reach out to the Latino Promise team, and we can go ahead and help you set up an in-house ACT examination, which we will keep the scores and will help you overcome that obstacle in case there is, for example, no fee waivers anymore available at your school. You will also need your transcripts. You can go to your guidance counselors in order to print those out. And as well as your transcripts, we will need to interview you. So at some point, whether it's at an on-site, make sure that you register with your guidance counselors. So when we come in and we interview you, but also make sure that if our on-site has already occurred, you can always reach out to someone at Latino Promise, and we can go ahead and set up a time for you to come visit us, or maybe us visit you at your high school and go ahead and interview you. What we do not want you to do is miss out on an opportunity for you to come to at New Jersey's largest private institution and have access to an opportunity in education that is completely tailored not only around a bilingual setting, but also a bicultural setting. A lot of times what people do not understand, and even particular students do not understand, is that as a bicultural student, there are going to be many factors that affect your ability to be accepted and, more importantly, graduate from college. There are obstacles and challenges that are going to present themselves, both some that are overt and some of them that are a little bit more hidden. And some of those factors may include something as simple as, did you know that only about 1% of Latinos ever see a Latino professor when they are in college? That has a subconscious effect on you as to your belief in whether or not you can accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish as a first-generation college student, which means that many of you are attempting to be that first doctor. Many of you are attempting to be, like me, the first lawyer in your family. Or some of you are attempting to be the first teacher, or maybe even just the first graduate in your family. As a result, it becomes very important for you to see yourselves in your college professors. It becomes very important for you to see yourselves in some of your fellow classmates and some of the alumni. The Latino Promise program now has spent over 10 years in producing some of the best students that the state of New Jersey has had and turned them into professionals. We have had graduates who go on to have careers with the New Jersey State Troopers, students who go on to hold executive positions in business, such as companies like Foot Locker. We have had students who traveled the entire country working in public relations with healthcare here in the state of New Jersey, all from our Latino Promise program. And these are opportunities that are going to be presented to you, right, regardless of what you may feel is something that was obtainable or not. The Latino Promise program prides itself in being able to motivate and being able to guide you through every step of the way, from the application process, your orientation, your in-class education, and the financial aid that is necessary in order for you to be able to enroll. Financial aid is something that is often a worry in all of our minds, and I do not want you to be too worried about that. The Latino Promise program provides a 40% discount for all of our students, and that 40% discount means that the bottom line, if you receive a full financial aid package, which the majority of our students do, you will only be asked to pay approximately $3,500 to $4,500 in order to obtain a private education in New Jersey's largest private institution. And of course, that is money that will be available to you through the student loan program, which are loans that you can obtain from the federal government, and you will not have to pay until 6 months after you're no longer enrolled as an FDU student. More importantly, I don't want you to forget about the importance of the environment. Oftentimes I go to high schools and I'm speaking to students as to what does that mean? What does it mean to be in an environment that's conducive to learning? The best way I describe it is as when we go home or we go back to our countries and we'll go see abuela or we go see abuelo, right? And they're providing us with this food that we're going to eat. And we have no problem eating and eating and eating, whereas you may have found yourself not being able to eat as much or not being able to enjoy your food. Education can be much of the same way. If it's not enjoyable, it is not something that you're going to have an easy part coming back for year 2, coming back for year 3, and coming back for year 4. In the Latino Promise program, we go above and beyond to make sure that it is an enjoyable experience. From providing you volunteering opportunities for you to get out in your community and see the difference that you can make, to taking some wonderful field trips where we take our students to Philadelphia, we take our students to Washington, D.C., where in the past they've been able to even meet Supreme Court judges such as Sonia Sotomayor. We take you guys down to Virginia and Williamsburg, to Gettysburg, so you can see the grounds of where this country was founded and some of the historical stuff that you're no longer learning just in books, but you're actually learning live. To have your professors be there every step of the way with you, who are also your advisors, educating you inside and outside of the classroom provides a value for you. That value is a value that stays with you for 2 years. Our program is for 2 years. After 2 years, hopefully you will be graduating with an associate's degree. One of the common misconceptions about our associate's degree is that once you take the associate's degree, then you will have to go on and start over in your major. That will not be true. When you're in Latino Promise, you will be taking classes that are prerequisites for your particular major, whether that be engineering or whether that be criminal justice. At the end of those prerequisites, you will be graduating with an associate's degree. You will be finished with 2 years of schools, and your 40% discount will be guaranteed for year 3, year 4, and year 5. And in fact, you will get an increase of financial aid or an increase in grant if you maintain a 3.0 GPA while you're with us. Do not forget, of course, at any point we are accessible. You can always email us at Latino Promise, or you can always email us. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. You can always email us at, what's our website, our email again? Fernando?
LatinoPromise@ftu.edu.
LatinoPromise@ftu.edu. You can always call our office at 201-692-2676. And you can always complete your application via mail, or you can fax us your application, which will be found, the fax number will be found on your application. Do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. We are here to help you complete your application and admit you into our programs. Did you have anything else that you may want to add?
No, I just was listening in on and was thinking about some things. One of the things I thought was very interesting that you brought up is about the approach that we have to helping students. The problem for a lot of students in high school is that they are saying to you sometimes, you're not going to be able to get into this school, or you're not going to be able to get into that school, so you might as well go here. And this is why we created this program, is to give you the ability to achieve all the dreams you want to achieve. The cool part about it, and I always think back to my time when I was in college, and that was in the 70s. I was one of like 2 or 3 Hispanics at this college. And then when I went to law school, I was the only Hispanic. So I was by myself. And what gave me the idea of creating this program is to help, is the growing number of professional Hispanics that are now going to help younger people like yourselves. And what you do here is when you come to this program, you're meeting up with a lot of other people, you're making a lot of friends. In fact, a lot of people bring friends, so they feel this comfort here. And what's really cool is that you have a lot of the professors who have gone through things that you've gone through. And so that's a really important thing for you, because they can understand your situation and can guide you the right way. And that's why this program is such a great program. It's been now for 10 years. It's been recognized by locally, the state, and even federal with grants. It's a great place to come and achieve your dreams, as I was saying.
Right now, what I'd like to do is maybe address some of the common questions that we do get when people come into the program. Of course, one of the first questions that we get is it one of those where after 2 years, do I have to start over? That's not the case. The Latino Promise program students are just like any other FDU student. They're admitted into the university. The only difference is that while they're with us, they are completing 60 credits, meaning that they are taking about 15 credits a semester, which is about 5 classes a semester. And while they're taking those classes with us, right, they are fulfilling the prerequisites for their major. So you will sit down as a student with your advisor, who also happens to be one of your professors. For example, if that were to be a business major, you would sit down with me. And we would sit down and we would look at the Silberman College, which is the College of Business here at FDU, and we would look at their curriculum. And then we would take a look at what classes it is that you need to take. Those are the same classes that you would be taking while you are in the Latino Promise program. It's just that now you will be taking those classes while a Latino Promise student, and you will be benefiting from our advising, and you would be benefiting from our scholarship program. While you're taking those classes, you will be fulfilling the prerequisites for the College of Business. At the end of 60 credits, you will be obtaining your associate's degree. And you will be also at the same time fulfilling the prerequisites for whatever major it is that you want to major in. As a result what happens now is it becomes a smooth transition. You'll be working with your advisor to make sure that you've met all the prerequisites and that you have the GPA necessary. So now you don't have to reapply. It is not a process of you having to apply to FDU all over again, or a process where you would have to start from year one. After fulfilling your prerequisites for 2 years, you would just smoothly transition to whatever college of biology, the college of psychology, the college of business, criminal justice. And then once you go into those colleges and those programs, you would start year 3 and year 4, meaning you would start with 60 credits with you already, and then you would finish the remaining 60 credits in the College of Criminal Justice or the College of Psychology. And then at that point, after 2 years, you would be graduating with your bachelor's degree. Another question that we get is our scholarship a scholarship only with you for 2 years? As I said earlier, if you get your associate's degree, you are locked in for your scholarship, meaning the university values your hard work and now rewards you with that 40% discount for year 3, year 4, and even year 5 that is necessary. This is why it's also very important to get your associate's degree. Not to mention the wonderful opportunities of different jobs that become available for students once they obtain their associate's degree, in case you are a student who needs to work while you're going to school.
By the way, the interesting point is that as a Latino Promise student going to the bachelor's in FDU, when you come from a community college, there's a transfer program that they have to come to FDU to finish up the bachelor's. But they get some extra money if they have a 3.5. For the Latino Promise, all you need is a 3.0 to get that extra transfer money, which is a cool thing. The other thing is, for those of you who say, well, what happens if, for whatever reason, I want to go somewhere else to another university? Will this associate's degree help me? And it does. According to the laws in New Jersey, if you are a student that has up to 60, I think it's 64 credits, and you finish your degree, you have to get the degree. In other words, you just don't take 60 credits and then don't finish the degree. You have to be able to graduate with a degree. You could transfer that anywhere in New Jersey, and they have to take your credits, which is a great benefit. So here's a program for people who sometimes think that maybe they're not good for going to college, or maybe they don't have enough for the grades or their SATs, and we'll get you in here and we will help you to succeed, not only in the program, but also to make that transition to going for a bachelor's, which, as he was just getting, will make you more money.
And as Professor Alonso was mentioning, we work with all different kinds of students. So if you're worried that FDU doesn't have the major that you wanted to major in, that doesn't mean that you cannot start with us, and then after your 2 years in obtaining your associate's degree, you can't transfer to another university. In fact, the Latino Promise Program advisors have in the past gone as far as working with other universities in order to obtain the required classes that you need to take at the other university. And then we work with them, meaning that we provide them with our curriculum, we provide them with our classes, and then you can go to that university and you can work with those counselors and they can tell you which classes you should be taking. So we can be working in conjunction with some of those universities. Of course, if you cannot find the major that you like here at FDU, so that after 2 years here at FDU, you can take that associate's degree to whatever institution that you wish to join, right? And you will not fall behind.
And besides, there's over 100 majors at FDU, so mostly everyone tends to find the major they want. But for those of you who don't find it, if for whatever reason there's something new out there, you're able to bring this and transfer your credits and your degree somewhere else where you won't start again, which is the most important thing.
Not to mention that as a student of Latino Promise program, one of the other questions that we get is, do I have access to all the things that all FDU students have? For example, can I be in a sports team? Yes, you can. It's Division I sports, so it's very competitive. But right now we have a student who is on the basketball team, and he's a Latino Promise program. Can I live on campus? Yes, you can. However, in order to live on campus and play sports and be part of the Latino Promise program, you have to qualify academically. That means that now we have to kind of scrutinize a little bit more that GPA and those SAT scores in order to make sure that you are qualifying at an academic level to play sports and to live on campus.
It's an NCAA waivers, they call it.
So correct.
You have to have a certain number of, GPA, SATs, that kind of stuff. And we can help you out with that afterwards. But more importantly, we could transfer you into what they call a bachelor's, so you could play. There are students that we have who are really great in baseball, but couldn't get into a Division I team. So those things we can help you out. We've had some students that went onto the baseball team, soccer, cheerleading, and of course now we have a student who's on the walk-on team with FDU, and he's doing great. So we help you with that if that's where you want to go. It's not easy because you have all the regulations of the NCAA that you have to do, but you have people who care about you, so they work with you. You don't usually see that in universities where you have professors trying to help, talking with the athletic director, talking with the sports administration people to figure that out.
One of the other questions that we get is, can I study abroad? Something that you may have not known about is that FDU has about 25% of its students at some point or another study abroad. And the Latino Promise program students are no different. We have had many students study in Germany, study in China, study in the Dominican Republic. So we have a variety of countries that have partnerships with FDU. And those are all things that are accessible to you. Of course, those are things that you are going to have to, once again, right, demonstrate a certain academic ability, meaning you're going to have to be able to display that you can handle the curriculum, that you have a certain GPA, right? And you can choose whether or not your particular program allows you, right? Does it have the flexibility in order to take classes abroad and then bring those credits back? Can I spend a semester? Can I spend a year? Can I spend 2 years abroad in studying, right? For example, if you wanted to study as an international business major, that would be a wonderful opportunity for you, right? And so the point is that you have access to everything that every FDU student has access to. The only difference is, if anything, is that you're going to get more than most of those students as a result of having the Latino Promise program advisors be your professors, be bilingual and have the ability to communicate with your parents, and also be bicultural, meaning that as a result of us understanding some of those obstacles and challenges that you're going through, as Professor Alonso mentioned, that I went through as well as a first-generation college student, I'm going to be able to understand how to help you overcome those challenges and those obstacles. I'm going to be more sensitive as to some of the issues that are occurring that are causing you stress, that are causing you to think that maybe you cannot do what you thought you could, because that is the last thing that I want you to do. I don't want you to come into our program and then think that this is overwhelming or this is not something that you can do. In fact, our numbers reflect quite the opposite. Our retention numbers, meaning our students who finish year one and come back for year two, are well over 50%. We're in the 60% ratio. To give you an idea, the majority of Latinos, when they choose to go to college, they're going to community college. And the retention rates at community colleges can sometimes be anywhere between 5 or 6 times lower than our retention rate.
Or the graduation rate, really.
And their graduation rate, of course, is also low compared to our Latino Promise program graduation rate. And so rest assured that when you make the decision to complete your application, when you make the decision to be part of the Latino Promise program, you're making the decision to be somewhere where not only do people care about you, and not only people know what you're going through and have been there, done that, but also you're making the decision to be somewhere where you are going to be likely to succeed. And that's a big part of life, right?
Yeah.
Being able to say that I can trust that I am in a position to succeed, as opposed to in a position where I'm being asked to be the exception to the rule. Our students are the rule. They're not the exception, even though they are, of course, exceptional. And we believe that each and every one of them is.
What are which we haven't mentioned yet, the really cool things about the Latino Promise program is something that we created from the beginning, which is a leadership component. You don't see this anywhere in colleges. They don't teach that to you. So what we have done is create this program where we help you to do things so that you can take on a leadership role. That will be skills that will help you when you go on into the business world or whatever career you go into. Most people have a fear of talking in front of a group, and we actually make you do that. Or have you be involved in projects that help your community. That is something you don't see anywhere else. In fact, a lot of the other students that are Hispanic, that are part of FDU, they're always saying, what is it that you guys are doing? And it's quite interesting. They want to be part of our stuff, but they're under a different program. So our students feel special because they're getting these hands-on skills and lessons from professional people, like you said, we met, which is a really interesting thing to have. I'm a member of the Supreme Court of the United States, and to have Justice Sotomayor kick everybody else out of the Supreme Court that was there visiting that day and just have our Latino Promise students, and she talked to them for over an hour privately with them, which is a really cool thing. You don't get to meet special people. And this program does. We get you to meet very successful Hispanics who have gone through a lot, and they show you that success is a struggle. But we show you what you have to do to get there. And that actually spills over into everything else you do. And that's why we have a lot of success with our students, not only coming into the program, but succeeding in the program and then graduating so that they make it to where they want to go.
I invite you, as you finish watching, to sit down with your parents. Some of you may not have completed your application or are in the process of completing your application, and you might be unsure as to whether or not education is an option for you, whether or not going to college is an option for you. And I invite you to have a conversation with your parents today, tonight, a very serious conversation, and ask them whether it was yourself, like myself, who moved to this country. I was not born here, and you migrated, or whether it was your parents who migrated and you were born here. And I welcome you to ask them why it is that they came to the United States, or why it is that you were uprooted and they brought you here to the United States. And 90%, 80% of you are going to hear the same thing. And that is the reason for why your family migrated to the United States was so you could have the opportunity to become a professional, so you could have access to education and the ability to become someone who maybe in our countries, that opportunity was no longer there or was limited, or access to those opportunities were limited. As a result, what I'm trying to tell you is this: the Latino Promise program aims to fulfill that promise, aims to fulfill that sacrifice, the leaving the family behind, the living under circumstances or conditions that maybe we did not expect or were not accustomed to maybe being separated from parents, maybe separated from other family members, leaving friends behind, leaving language behind, and having to take on a brand new struggle. That is the reason. Those are the sacrifices. That is the price that was paid. And it was paid for you to have that opportunity, for you to have that opportunity to come to something that can be special for you in fulfilling that promise. And the Latino Promise program prides itself in understanding that and helping you remember that as you're in school and graduating, so you can obtain that, right, that degree. And I think Professor Alonso himself remembers, and we all remember that moment where we get that degree and we're able to look right at our parents and hand it to them, right? And we can say thank you, and seeing that joy and seeing that pride that comes along with it.
And if your parents are concerned because they don't understand, le puedes decir a la familia que puede entenderlo nosotros, porque podemos hablar con ellos. Si tienen inquietud o no entienden, tienen aquí amigos, personas profesionales que pueden ayudar a la familia y los padres a entender el costo, el dolor y el trabajo que tiene que hacer para tener su hijo graduarse de una universidad.